welcome to our video. In this video, we're going to go through 2 wrapping techniques and how to apply them. If you're ever to lease or own your own horse, it's essential that you know when and how to wrap appropriately. But first, let's introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Jacqulyn Laraway. I'm a senior in the equine science program. After graduating, I'm really looking forward to working and training under Ruth Hogan-Polson at her upper level dressage barn.
Hi, my name is Hailey Schwartz. I'm a senior here in the equine science program at the University of New Hampshire. Outside of the university, I am currently working through my massage therapy classes in hopes to pursue equine rehabilitation in my future career.
I'm Grace Chambers. I'm a senior animal science student, and I'll be working as a veterinary technician for the next year in preparation for vet school. Here is our lovely horse Zoe to demonstrate our polos for you first. This is the leg we're going to be wrapping in a minute. We need to tie the tail up so that it is out of the way for our wrapping first. Now you can either do a simple knot here that we show, or you can put a slip knot in the tail.
Now let's talk about polo wraps. Polos are made out of a soft fleece material that has some stretch to it. They come in different sizes to suit the size of your horse or pony, and they come in many different colors. The colors are strictly for aesthetic purposes, as many riders enjoy matching the polo wraps to their outfits or the horse's tack. Many trainers utilize polo wraps, but they are seen mostly in polo and dressage. This is because these disciplines require a lot of bending and turning that may increase the chances of interference between the horse's hooves and its legs. Generally, when using polo wraps, all 4 legs will be wrapped in order to help protect the horse from scratches or bruises that may otherwise occur. They provide a soft cushion in between the fragile tendons, ligaments, and bone from any hooves or objects that may injure them. It's important to note that there is little research on polo wraps actually supporting the leg and the tendons and ligaments, and therefore polo wraps should be used for protection and not support. Here, Grace is showing you the best way to prepare your wrap. It's important that you Velcro it to itself before wrapping it in order to ensure that the Velcro will end on the outside the way you want it to be when you're all done. Now she's using her leg in order to roll the polo up, and she's going to make sure it's in a nice tight cylinder in order to make actually wrapping the leg an easier process. As she wraps, you can see her smooth it out and wipe off any dust or particles to make sure that we don't wrap the horse's legs with those in it. A quick tip here is when you're all done, you can tuck a corner into the very top to make sure that the wrap won't come undone if it's dropped or falls out of where it's being stored. It's important to make sure that you always wrap from the front to the back to make sure you aren't putting any extra tension or pressure on those tendons and ligaments in the back of the leg. The starting point can depend on the length of your wrap and the size of your horse. My personal preference is to start right below the knee, but as you can see here, I start a little bit lower on Zoe for her leg length. I always start the polo on the inside of the cannon bone. As you can see here, I use my hand to support the polo until I've overlapped it at least once, and then it's tight enough to stay on all by itself. I've slowed the video down here to really emphasize the correct method of wrapping. As you can see, I pull across the front of the cannon bone to make sure it's snug enough and that the tension is the same throughout, but I wrap around the back of the leg without ever tugging on it. As you wrap down the leg of the horse, you want to overlap about 1/3 to 1/2 of each layer. The more you practice, the more you will be able to feel how much of the polo you should have left to have just the right amount to wrap back up the horse's leg. At the bottom of the leg, you want to increase the angle of the wrap and scoop around to cup the fetlock securely. Then bring the polo around and back up. This should create an upside down V right in the middle of the top of the pastern. Then you continue the same method as before to wrap back up the leg. At the top, the polo should create a straight line across the leg and should land at the bottom of the knee. Even if you started your polo in the middle of the cannon bone, the top should always end at the bottom of the knee. An evenly spaced, correctly sized polo should always end with the Velcro on the outside of the leg. And if you wrapped in the right direction, the Velcro will point towards the tail of the horse and never the head. When you're finished wrapping, you can gently run your hand down the leg to make sure you don't feel any strange bumps or wrinkles that could add unwanted pressure points. I always make sure to feel down the front and to make sure the fetlock is covered and cupped correctly. You should also place a finger in between each wrap and the legs to make sure the wrap is snug but not too tight. It's important that it isn't going to fall down or move while the horse is working, but also that it isn't constricting blood flow. The wrap should feel like a warm hug on your finger. If you can feel your fingers pulse from the tightness, then the wrap is too tight and you should try again. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to wrap a hind leg. The hind legs are generally longer, so as you can see, I started around the middle of the cannon bone this time on Zoe. Aside from adjusting your starting point, the method of wrapping is essentially identical. Remember to always wrap across the front of the leg, so the direction you're wrapping is different depending on which side of the horse you're on. Polos can be tricky to learn at first, but after enough practice it becomes muscle memory. So don't give up because you can do it. Another quick tip here is that sometimes the tension can be just a little bit off at the top of the wrap. So don't be afraid to undo the Velcro and readjust if you need to. Congratulations! You can now successfully and safely apply polo wraps to all 4 legs of your horse. These wraps are a great way to include your horse in your outfit of the day while also offering them some protection.
Now let's get into stable wraps. Now, stable wraps, as the name implies, are generally used in the stable or stall when the horse is not in work or turnout. They can be useful if a horse had a difficult ride that may have put extra strain on the legs, or if the horse has a history of stocking up, which is fluid buildup in the legs, or if they are on a long period of stall rest. The materials you're going to need are a pillow, usually made of cotton or polyester. You can also use a no-bow wrap, which is pictured here and is usually made of foam instead. And then you just need your wrap, which is generally longer than the polo wrap as well as a little bit wider. It also has less stretch in it, and it's going to go over the padding. The quilts come in different sizes, so you're going to want to choose one for your horse that comes just below the knee and just below the fetlock. Now before we start wrapping, we're going to want to tightly wrap up the quilt. You can see here Hailey's demonstrating. You want to wrap it nice and tight to itself, and you want the quilted part to be on the outside of the roll and the smooth to be on the inside. Now for preparing the wrap, you're going to want to Velcro the Velcro into itself, and then you slowly will tightly wrap like you did the pillow. And the easiest way to do this is shown here, where you use your leg to kind of smooth everything out and keep it nice and together and neat. As you can see, Hailey also makes sure to brush off any remaining dirt that you might have. You don't want to wrap dirt into your standing wraps. Now on to the actual wrapping. Stable wraps, even the padding, are wrapped the same direction as the polos. You always want to start the wrap so that you're not pulling on the tendons and ligaments at the back. And with the padding, you might have to pull a little tighter than the polo to get a good wrap. You also want an even overlay and even pressure as you wrap. Now the stable wraps are similar to polos, just on top of the padding. When you start, you want to leave an inch or so of the pillow exposed, but if your wrap is short or your horse has very tall legs, you can start in the middle like we did here and work your way back up. The important part to remember is to have equal layers and equal tension. You can also see that every time Hailey comes around the front, she tightens it so that it reinforces the pressure when it's not across the tendons. Because of the thick padding, the wrap won't scoop up the back of the fetlock the way the polos do. At the bottom, there's supposed to be about an inch of space of the pillow visible. Some horses are easier to wrap than others, depending on how much they fidget as you're trying to wrap them. As you come to the top here, you again want to leave about an inch of space of the pillow visible, and then you also want to try to end with the Velcro on the outside of the horse's leg. So here we have a good example of a stable wrap. You can check your wraps by putting a finger in the top and bottom. The tension should be the same. If it's too tight, it can cause injury, and if it's too loose, it can slide off and not create the compression that you need from the standing wrap. Now, here Hailey's going to demonstrate the back leg. It's exactly the same as the front leg, but you will generally need bigger pillows for your horse because the cannon bone, which is the bone between the hock or knee and the fetlock, is longer in the back legs. Now, another quick tip here. Another way to check to make sure you've wrapped the right way is the Velcro should be facing the back of the horse, never the head, assuming it's on the outside. You can see even with Zoe kicking out, it's not moving, but it also doesn't limit any range of motion. That's all we've got for standing wraps. Good luck and have fun.
I hope you learned a lot about wrapping today. Please practice with an experienced wrapper's supervision. These techniques take a lot of time and practice, so don't get discouraged if they're hard at first. Have fun and good luck. Thanks for tuning in!
Go for it.
Hi, my name's Hailey Schwartz. I'm a senior here at the... Why can I not do it? Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So how are we doing? We say thanks for tuning in and we do it.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks for tuning in.
I hope you learned a lot about wrapping today. What am I supposed to practice with an experienced wrapper's supervision? It takes.
My name is Hailey Schwartz. I'm a senior here in the equine. No.
Okay.
I'm Jacqulyn Laraway. I'm a senior in. Yep.
You gotta yell over the birds.
I know.
They're like, we have stuff to
Go away. In hopes of becoming an equine massage. No. Outside of the school, working. No.
appropriately.
There. If your horse is not cooperating. Ready.
hope you learned a lot about wrapping today. Okay. I forgot what I was saying.